Hello and welcome to the first video in a series of videos that I will be making talking about how to start programming and in Python, but these first couple of videos will kind of be universal to other coding languages as well. So these are really just terms that you're going to need to know to be able to understand programming, and you'll need to know this before you can move on to the next steps of programming. So we'll get started. Alright, so the first term you're going to need to know is Boolean, and it's a true or false value used usually to test a condition and then figure out whether it's true or false. Like, for example, if you did is 8 equal to 7, and this would return a true or false value, in this case false, because 8 does not equal 7, but that is what that is used for. So we'll get on to the next one, which is going to be integer. So bring this one up. So an integer is a whole number, a number that is not a fraction or decimal. So like 2, 654, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 0, negative numbers. And math can apply to them, like adding, subtracting, and you can get answers out of that. The next one you're going to need to know is a float. Now, float is a decimal or a fraction value, like 1.23 or 0.45, with a decimal, right? It can be negative 2, or it could be 2.0. Usually, that'll turn into an integer unless it started off as an obvious float, like 2.23. But yeah. And the next type is a string. It's a data type used to represent text, usually enclosed in quotation marks. So as you can see here, we have a double quotation mark, is what it's usually called, a single quotation mark, and you can put words in there, you can put spaces in there, you can put numbers in there, you can put passwords, numbers and letters, right? Capitals, lower cases, stuff like that. And there's also something called a triple quote. And a triple quote is really just you type the single quote, but 3 times on both sides. And I'm not sure if this works in every language, but it definitely works in Python. And in here you can write a multi-line string. But that is a string. Now, this brings up another term, which is called concatenation, which is the operation of joining things together, strings especially. Like if you were to take this string Johnny and this string Appleseed and you were to add them or concatenate them, you would end up with this. Notice how there's no space because there wasn't a space in either of these, and it won't add a space in on its own. So if you have a space at the beginning here, then when they're concatenated, you'll see that there's also a space, since a space is a value in a string. Alright, we'll get on to the next type. And we've got here lists or arrays, a sequence of several items grouped together. For example, you could do 1, 5, 2, 634, 34, 6, negative numbers in there. You could do strings in lists or arrays, whatever you want to call them. Now, when a computer generates its own array of numbers, it will not start at 1. For example, you wouldn't really get a list that looks like this. 1, 2, 3, wow, that's not 3, 3, 4, 5. You wouldn't get a list that starts like that. Instead, it will always start at 0. And a lot of things in programming that have to do with numbers and lists and orders will start at 0. So that's just important to know. So like, for example, this here has a position. This number 1 has a position in this list, and the position is actually an index of 0. So this would be the index of 1, 2, and the same would apply here, index 0 or position 0, position 1, and that's just very important to know. So The next type that we have here is variables, and in the next video I'm going to get more in detail with these, but for right now I'll give you a summary. They're a storage location paired with an associated name which contains a quantity of information. For example, number of customers, that's could have a number, it's a number, but the name is number of customers, and notice how there's no spaces, and I use underscores instead of spaces so that way it's easier to read. An item price could be a float, right? A username could be a string. A shopping list could be a list. You could even store booleans in there. I didn't even think about that one, but whether something's true or not, which sometimes people like to do, is true. Could be a variable, or like is true. Oh, is true. And you could test some sort of situation, and if it's not true, it'll be false, right? If it is true, it'll be true. And so this is really the basic terms that you need to know for coding, and I'll go more in depth with specifics on variables in the next video. So if you like, please like. If you enjoy and want to see the rest of the videos, please click subscribe. You can check out my channel, and I should have a playlist up that says coding tutorials, and you should find this video right at the beginning of that, so, and the next video after that. So thank you for watching.